03717 223344. We want to hear from Arsenal and Brighton fans on the back of that 3-0 victory for the Seagulls. Laurie is an Arsenal fan. Laurie, you're saying that Arsenal haven't bottled it.
Definitely not bottled it. I just feel lack of experience, and we burnt out in the end. Super proud of Arsenal, and if any Arsenal fan disagrees, I'll be very shocked. I think we're all honest saying top four would have been a great achievement. Bit gutting, can't lie, it's gutting. Obviously, we've been top for a long time, and to go out like that, it's a bit heartbreaking, but very proud. First season with season tickets with my 9-year-old son. It's been an absolute blessing. So hopefully we go again next season. Only London Cup in the Champions League. We can't complain at the end of it.
Laurie, when you talk about obviously Man City, they're the team that's gone and won the league, and you want to stick with a team like Manchester City. What do you need in terms of the summer transfer window? What do you need to come in to get you closer to Man City?
To be fair, look, Man City, the depth they've got, it's 2 first teams of 11 world-class players, so I don't think we're ever going to be able to get the depth they've got, but I do feel a striker, another defender, and another midfielder. It's going to be an expensive window for us.
He was trying to be funny, Laurie. Don't worry, you carry on. That's
the reaction we give.
Yeah, he tries to be funny. Don't you worry, brother.
No, it'll be an expensive window for us to obviously keep up with the likes of them. Obviously, every season when we go through, everyone will be saying Chelsea will be back next year, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham definitely not. No disrespect, humbly, respectfully.
None taken.
So let's see. But we do need a good transfer window to keep up with the likes of City. I mean, as I reiterate, the depth is ridiculous. They've got 2 starting 11s of world-class players. But very, very proud of Arsenal, and it's been a great season. Like I say, for me and my boy, first season tickets, and it's been amazing. And I feel we'll go again next year. I really do, but it will be a bit harder.
Laurie, cheers for the call. I mean, it's an interesting point he makes there. He said it's almost impossible to compete with Manchester City over the course of a 38-game season. Is that healthy for the Premier League? Because this is going to be a 3rd successive title for City, even though they started the season relatively slowly by their standards. They've got Erling Haaland, who's going to smash every goal-scoring record under the sun. Is there a danger that the Premier League almost becomes the new Bundesliga or the new Liga, and where one team just dominate and win it season after season after season?
I personally, I think it's always going to be hard to match the spending power of Man City. I think Newcastle's the next in there that can spend like them. But then again, look, I do think that, regardless of what, and I think the text came in and saying that clubs take Man City all the way. Like, Arsenal took them all the way, really, but they took them all the way. Liverpool's taken them all the way. Man U's taken them all the way. That's the spending power they've got. And also, you can't begrudge, they've got one of the best managers in the world as well. So it all aligns. But I do think that it's not a guarantee that Man City's going to win it again next year, because somewhere they've got to fail. They're playing for all competitions, and that's what they're going to do next season. And like you said, every team is going to get stronger. And I do want to say that Arsenal finished comfortably second, and if they do add, even though other teams will add, they did finish comfortably second. So what they've gained experience-wise hopefully should put them in good stead as well for next season. So look, the Premier League is the Premier League in the sense where it is one of the toughest leagues in the world, if not the best league in the world. But Man City's always going to be there for a time, just like Man U had their reign. Man City's got their reign at the moment.
Other clubs have to find a way. They have to find a way. Otherwise, what's the point of turning up each season?
But it's interesting what Bayo was saying there about City's squad depth. They did have to make some changes today, 4 alterations, because they're going for a treble. Arsenal, I remember I was at the Emirates when they lost to Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League, and Arsenal fans were telling me this is a blessing in disguise. They crashed out the FA Cup early, didn't really bother with the League Cup. They only really had the Premier League to focus on. Manchester City competing on multiple fronts. Manchester United have had to compete on multiple fronts. So again, I repeat what I said an hour ago. Arsenal won't have a better opportunity to win the Premier League title. I don't see them being runners-up next season. I don't see them being challengers to Man City. And I did ask the question, Arsenal won 8 of their first 9 games, didn't win the league. When was the last time that happened? 07-08, Arsenal. Happened in 04-05, Arsenal. Happened last season when they were going for the top 4. It's becoming a little bit of a habit.
Yep.
Well, Look, you're jumping on Arsenal. What I think there's a player's mentality and there's a fan's mentality, right? So the fans would turn around and say they've been knocked out of all competitions, so now they can only focus on the Premier League. And for young people, or young folks, there is a positive of fearlessness and just going on the unknown. But then there's also that pressure that's kicked in, which we've seen that they haven't been able to handle. And that's the point. That's the point I'm making now. It's the position these young Arsenal players found themselves was new territory. So regardless of them just going for the Premier League, it is still one of the biggest. There's players that have played in the Premier League that's never won the Premier League. So it is a massive feat. So don't disown the notion of how big the chance of winning the Premier League. But because they've been through this and gone through the experience of it, this is what I'm trying to say, that hopefully next season they will be, you saying that they're going to be nowhere near it, like this was a one-off. They're warranted.
I think there's a danger it's a one-off. Let's bring in Ben, the Arsenal fan.
Right.
Ben, you were at the game. I'm not convinced that Arsenal finish top 4 next season. I know probably it's the wrong time to ask you because emotions will be running high, but what's your view on it?
Nah. I do think we finish top 4, but I think the whole thing, I just want to touch on what you're saying earlier. I think it's been a bit blown out of proportion. I agree with, I don't know what his name on, the guy who was just on before, but I do think it is physically impossible to outperform City right now over a 38-game season. Being in the title challenge, forget today's result. Had we won our last 3 games, we would have finished on the same number of points as the Invincibles, like matching Fergie's best records. I mean, we were on course, again, forgetting today, for a 90-point season. We'll probably finish on 87 points. I mean, that is just ridiculous. And obviously Arsenal were going through a bad patch when it happened. So when Man City and Liverpool were going head-to-head for the Premier League like that, and Liverpool finished on 96 points and didn't win the league, I didn't really realise until this season just how messed up that is, the sense that a team can finish on 96 points and not win the league. So I think it's been a bit blown out of proportion in the sense, yes, we have bottled it, but I think you've got that massive mental aspect of a team like Man City chasing you, just knowing it's inevitable, and that's almost catalysed our downfall. But I still think we've had an unbelievable season. For the squad we had that finished 8th, 5th, to finish 2nd and compete with this super team, I genuinely think it's an unbelievable achievement, and I think we'll be here for a while now.
Ben, you're certainly a glass is half full man. What about Charlie, the Arsenal fan? Charles, you were at the game. Do you agree with Ben that actually it's been a brilliant season?
Yes, it's been a brilliant season, but at the end of the day, it's all about winning. And the problem today, and I was there with my daughter, was that as soon as Martinelli had to come off, there was no fight. And even though the fans were trying to get the players to inject a bit of energy, it wasn't happening. And so I think one's got to be cautious about generalising and talking about the whole team. All I can talk about is what I saw today. And for some reason, there wasn't that desire. And the strange thing was, such desire as there was in Odegaard and Jorginho, and I don't understand why they were hooked.
Yeah, interesting point. So, I mean, he's saying there that Mikel Arteta maybe got it wrong. What I would say from what we saw in the studio, Ollie Klink's update, it was a very different Arsenal performance to what we saw at Newcastle a week ago. How do you explain that?
They've succumbed to the pressure. That's exactly what they're a young side. They've succumbed to the pressure. But I have to say, look, we've spoken as players now, and I'm going to read out a couple of text messages because, Spurs will have their moment. Spurs have their moment now. Spurs are struggling this season. We know that. One of them, Cole from Crawley, said, I'll tell you what Arsenal need in the transfer window, a milkman, because they have loads of bottle. And then Arsenal fans thinking 95% of the time spent at the top, but not winning isn't bottling it, apparently. Yet Tottenham are Spursy for a lot less. Drink the tears in. Come on, you Spurs. That's Nick from Spurs. Now, Arsenal are a fan base. They're rivals with Spurs, and I get that. But they're the biggest fan base to throw this Spursy shout out and the bottling it. Spurs has bottled it. Spurs bottled it in the 2-horse race to finish first. Yet was never top of the league. Never top of the league in that season when Leicester won it. Yet it was they come second in the 2-horse race. In a 1-horse race, whatever they like to say. So this has come back to bite them. That's what I want to say. It's come back to haunt them.
It's interesting though because Spurs,
and I'm loving it.
Spurs
Put that in.
Spurs fans are going to revel in it. But Chris in Glasgow, I don't know who he supports, but he says this year is no more for Arsenal than the Leicester season was for Tottenham. Blessed by form, luck, and situations going on with other teams in the league. A glance at the table backs that up. They'll not come back stronger and deeper. If anything, you come back disheartened, knowing even at your best, you couldn't hold a lead when it was in the bag. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this young Arsenal team, as we keep labelling them, do react next season. I know they've got strong characters. Aaron Ramsdale, for one, won't rest on his laurels. He's on the verge of signing a new contract. He'll be determined to go again. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of start Arsenal make to next season, what they do in the transfer window. Keep the calls coming, Arsenal fans. Tell us why your team can challenge again next season for the Championship. 0371722 3344.